Okay, so the chances are, if you're watching this video, you may have had some sort of knee pain, and that's why we need to start strengthening not just the knees themselves, but the muscles around the knees. So we're going to start simple with some exercises that don't actually place too much stress on the knees themselves, but do start to build up those muscles around those knee joints. Firstly, we've got a bridge. Now in this position, lying on your back on the ground, I want you to push your heels down into the floor as you draw your belly button in and clench your butt, and you're going to come up to the top of this bridge position. Don't go so high that you overarch your back. We're looking to keep this area nice and neutral, but feel that the movement is coming from those hips, squeezing those butt muscles. From here, you're going to hold for 10 seconds and then come down slowly. Pushing through the heel to lift up again. We're going 10 seconds again. So we're going to do 10 times 10-second holds with this first bridging exercise, doing it on 2 legs to begin with, and then as you progress, you can change to a point where you're doing it on 1 leg. You can either hold the leg out straight and lift, again pushing down through the heel on the grounded leg, or as I like to sometimes coach people, we get them holding the knee, which again helps brace this pelvic position and hold you in good posture as you then come up, and again, we're doing 10-second holds, 10 times on each leg. Shouldn't be a problem for the knees, shouldn't be taxing at all, but you should really feel this through your glutes, so your butt muscles, and your quads. Really good exercise to start strengthening around your knees without putting much stress and strain on your knees. With the same kind of idea, the same idea of a low impact knee strengthening exercise, we're going to move on to a wall sit. So obviously, need a space around you, need a wall to be able to lean on. From here, we're going to start out with your feet shoulder width apart. From there, you're going to start walking down to a point where your hips are at the same height as your knees. Again, pushing through the heels. This time, you're going to feel your quads working. Okay, obviously, we are loading through the knees, but we're not taking them through a loaded range of motion. We're just maintaining this position. Pushing the heels down, feeling the quads, thinking about the position of our back. You want your back to be pressed into the wall and feel contact from the bottom of your spine up to your shoulder blades, solidly with the wall there. Don't allow your knees to drop in. Don't allow your knees to flare out. We're looking to keep ankles, knees, and hips pretty much all in alignment as we hold 3 sets of 60 seconds as we do this. Okay, next exercise. This one, we're taking the knee through a little bit more range of motion. We're going to start out with a lunge variation. Now, lunges, normally, if we're stepping forwards into a lunge, we've got what we refer to as a bit of kind of translation through the knee. So the knee joint expects a bit of shear like this. Now, with a reverse lunge, you actually get less of that. So it's a bit more knee friendly. So we start out here in this kind of running man posture. From there, you're going to reach back, touch down with the toe, bend both knees, and up we come again into our running man. Back and down, up, running man. Here, I get people to pause at the top of each rep just to prove that they've got control. I don't want people coming up, rushing it, and coming down again. It's all about stability as much as it is strength. Don't allow yourself to get too compressed. If you don't reach back far enough, this gets really awkward. So instead, reach back nice and long. You should feel a stretch through the top of the thigh here. And you're going to come down and then back up into our running man position. Now, with all our lunges, or at least the forwards and backwards lunge, I want you to think about knee position. So as we're stepping either forwards into a forward lunge, which we'll cover shortly, or backwards into a rear lunge, this knee, I want to point forwards in the same direction as your toes. So we don't want to see this drift in towards the midline as you come into your lunge. So keep an eye on that alignment. Okay, from there, we're going to move into box squats. Now, squatting movements in general are great in terms of strengthening the whole leg. Obviously, muscles above and below the knee and muscles around the hip all contribute to how well we're able to look after these knees. Now, this doesn't need to be a box. This could be a sturdy chair. This could be anything at about just below knee height. From here, we're going to go a bit wider than shoulder width with the feet. Coming away from the box, move 6 to 8 inches. And then from there, keep your back straight as you hinge at the hips, sit your butt back, reach forwards with your hands, tap, and up you come again. You're not coming down and resting. We're not staying in a seated position. It's very much just down, tap, and up. Down, tap, and up. And as you come down, we're going to come down slowly, up a little bit quicker. So we can go down on 3, 2, 1, up on 1. 3, 2, 1, up on 1. Having the box there forces you to make sure that you come to a certain depth, getting down towards parallel in terms of our squat depth. It also allows us to be consistent with the movement. Now, where people go wrong with squats a lot of the time is they have a tendency to shift forwards and bend at the ankles, bend at the knees, but not get enough hip involvement, not build those glutes up. The box, again, allows us to be confident in sitting back. With that, another way in which we can be confident in sitting back and using those glutes is to give ourselves a counter movement. So the reach forwards with the hands is what allows us to do that. Don't, however, just collapse through the thoracic region. Keep your back straight, reach forwards, up you come. Let's work towards 3 sets of 20 with our box squats there. Now, while we've got the box out, and as I said, doesn't need to just be a box, could be a sturdy chair. I want to work through some step-ups. Again, I wouldn't want to go much higher than this. At this point, my knee's about the same height as my hip. If anything, as a kind of a more introductory approach to this, you could go a little bit lower, maybe a surface which is here, where the knee is slightly below the hip. But either way, we're starting out with the full foot on your box. From there, you're going to shift your weight forward so you can feel the weight through the front leg. You're going to push down with the front leg and then drive through into this running man position again. Front foot stays on the box, we control down, and we go again. It's not about just dropping out of it. We want to see control the whole way through. Full range of motion. Again, this should be okay. On the knees, it's more challenging on the knee for sure. Taking it through loaded range, but it's low impact. Now, again, like I said, if you find that this height is too much, drop the height of your surface of your box down a touch. Aim for 3 sets of 15 on each side. Again, we're looking to keep that knee facing forwards. As you apply the pressure through that stepping foot, don't allow the knee to drift in or to flare out. Okay, next up, we've got forward lunges. So again, this time we are putting a bit more of that translation through the knee joint, a little bit more of that shear, but we're doing so with control. So from here, our running man position again. From there, we're down and back up. Aim to land with the heel, drop into it gently, and back up to the top there. Again, don't worry if you start to lose your balance. It's all part of the challenge. Let me show you from side on. Just like our reverse lunges, if you get too compressed and you don't step out enough, it gets really awkward. So, big confident step out, land on the heel, reach forward and back up. Down, bend both knees, and back up. Now, where people go wrong with this is they step forwards, they land with the forefoot. Landing on the forefoot like that puts a lot more pressure on your quads, puts a bit more strain on the knee. Keeping the heel off the ground, as we can see here, is rather uncomfortable. Instead, aim to get that confident landing on the heel. Push through the heel as you come down. Push through the heel as you push back up. And then we're back up either into our running man there, or you could do what I just did there, which is gather both feet, which is again a bit of a regression if you don't feel you have the balance or stability to get straight into our catch in this position. Okay, so from our forward lunges, we're going to move into side lunges. So from here, feet about shoulder width. This is going to place a little bit more demand on our adductor muscles, so muscles down the inside of the thigh. What I want you to do is be a bit conservative with this to begin with. We're going to step out just to the point before you feel a stretch. For some people, even this will be a big stretch through your adductors. So we're here, then in this position, this knee stays straight, both feet are facing forwards. You're going to bend this knee down into our side lunge. Back up to straight. Down, sit the hip back. Again, just like our box squats, we can reach the hands forwards, hip back, and up you come. This time you can come into a balance. Down, and then back up. It's a real challenge to push out of that lateral lunge position into a balance. So if that's too much, just focus on depth here, reach forwards, and then gather both feet together. Either way is fine. Build up that challenge as you feel your body being ready to do so. As you get into this lateral lunge position, you'll notice that as you bend both legs, the effort is the outside of the quads here and the glutes here. The stretch is the inner thigh here. That's why I don't want you just to throw yourself into it, because for some people, that's going to be a bit of a shock to the system for sure. Now, aim for 15 that way, 15 that way, 3 times through. Now, after our side lunges, we're going to get a little bit more into the single leg work, a little bit more into stability-based work. An arabesque or a kind of a variation of a single leg deadlift is a lot more hip focused, but it strengthens our glutes and our hamstrings, which really help to look after our knees. So, simple exercise, single leg, control and balance to start with. From there, running man position. From here, this leg is going to reach back and push the heel back as you keep your back straight and reach your hands forwards. Okay, from there, you're going to come back up, running man. In this running man position, squeeze your butt, push your hips forwards, stand nice and tall. From there, again, we reach forwards, control, control, control. Should feel the stretch down the back of the standing leg there. And we're back up. Now, that is not easy. That takes a little bit of practice, takes a little bit of work in terms of getting used to the balance point. But if you're finding that you can't come so low, if you're finding that getting down to horizontal here is a challenge, then simply work through partial range of motion. Work to there. Many people will still feel that in their hamstrings and come back up. Don't allow yourself to hyperextend the knee, so don't feel this standing knee flicking back. I want to keep a little bit of a bend in there, but it's not a squat movement. You're not coming up and down on that knee. Let me show you one from front on. From here, we're reaching forwards, 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 forwards. Head up, back straight, into the same finish position. 3 sets of 15 on each leg will be a challenge. Build up though. You might want to do 4 or 5 sets of 5, and then build, build, build over time to a point where you're doing 3 sets of 15. Give it time, give it an opportunity to get better. Okay, from there, back into our bridges. Bit of a hamstring-focused variation, this one. So often we talk about glute bridges, like the first exercise we did, in terms of being very hip-focused, very glute-focused. This time, however, I want to use these hamstrings. They're a muscle group we don't talk about enough in terms of knee rehab. And quite often, if you have weak hamstrings, there's a disproportionate amount of stress and strain being applied on the front of the knee versus the back of the knee. So we need to train them. We're going to start out in this position. Heels on the box or the chair. From here, you're going to keep the knees slightly bent. We're looking at about 30-degree knee bend. We don't want to see you just hanging off straight knees there. From there, however, you're going to think about squeezing your butt and pulling your heels towards you as you come up into the top of this movement. We're looking to get as close to a straight line between your heels and your shoulders as you can. Obviously, it's not dead straight, but we're looking to think about this plank-like position. Going to hold that for 10 seconds and then come down. And then we'll do the same 10 times, 10-second holds. In this position, pulling your heels in towards your butt, trying to flip the box over, you're going to feel this in the backs of your thighs. Now, 10 times 10 seconds holds with that is easy. A, you're doing well, and B, you can then go single leg. So I would come up into a double leg position, feel the movement, feel the work, and then lift one leg. You're gonna hold for 5 to 10, and then you're gonna come down and you do the other leg. Okay, again, a lot more challenging. That is the progression onwards from that first double leg variation. Okay, from there, we've got our single leg squats. So back working on a bit more single leg stability. Now, this could be anything. Don't worry about the fact it's a foam roller. We're not using it to foam roll. It could be a wine bottle, it could be a dumbbell on its end, it could be anything. But what I want to do is use this marker, think of it as a marker for now, use this marker as something to reach towards with our single leg squats. Where people go wrong a lot of the time is that they set up for their single leg squat, and from here, again, just like I mentioned with the squat itself, they move at the ankle, they move at the knee, but they don't get enough depth through the hip to really engage those glutes. Instead, if you've got something to reach towards, I'll show you from this side, because this side will hang out of the way. If you've got something to reach towards, then all of a sudden, keeping your back straight, reaching forwards with the arms, bending the knee, sitting butt back and down, it's easier to work those glutes. It's easier to get those butt muscles working. Okay, we'll show you this side. From here, we're down, 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 and back up. Look at the range of motion at the hip here as I come down into the movement in comparison to the range of motion at the hip if I'm just there. Very different. We're specifically focusing on encouraging those glutes to do all the work. You don't need to touch the top of the bottle or the, in this case, foam roller. Just need to get your arms moving in that direction because that gives you the counterbalance. Again, we're looking 3 sets of 15 on each leg, slow and controlled. Focus on that 3-second count down, 1 second count back up. Okay, so we've got one more exercise. And this last exercise I want to show you uses, again, our box. It's again a bit more challenging. Single leg work always is, but we're going to put one foot up on the box. Little hop forwards with the other leg, so we've got enough distance, just like our lunges. Being too compressed is a bit awkward. From here, we can either go hands free, or if we want to progress, we can use dumbbells in hands. We're going to bend both knees. I need a bit more room. There we go. We're going to bend both knees. Down and up. Down and up. And you can see here, we're keeping this knee nicely over the top of the standing foot. We're not allowing ourselves to shift forwards, knees forwards over toes. It's nicely slow and controlled. Sitting back, feeling the work through glutes, through quads. Definitely going to be challenging from a stability point of view as well. So just like the rest of our exercises, we don't want you as you come down into the movement to feel that knee drift in or drift out, but try working towards 3 sets of 15 on each leg.